Hey, everybody, welcome back to Ditching the Spotlight podcast. I'm your host, Rob, and if this is your first episode, welcome. We're an interview style podcast series focused on the lives of celebrities outside of the spotlight. In today's episode, we have Alex Chester. Our interview was full of laughter, drama, and important information. Check it out. Hey, everybody, on today's episode, we have Alex Chester. From a brief stint in the girl group Dream to Broadway to a creator of the Hapa magazine and co host of We're Not All Ninjas podcast, we guarantee you've seen or heard her work before. How are you, Alex?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I'm very excited to talk to you. You're such a relevant and up and coming creator and accomplished musician and actress that you're one of the interviews that I've most been excited about in the 4 interviews that I've done so far.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I'm honored. Thank you. That's very sweet. Thank you.
So let's get right into the questions. So
Okay.
Dream.
Yes.
Did you choose to did you choose to leave Dream, or was your exit from the band involuntary?
Um, I guess it was a combination. So we had gotten to the point where we were negotiating contracts with Puff Daddy, P Daddy, Sean Combs, and we had gone to New York and met him and all this stuff. And it got to the point with the contract that our lawyer was there with all the girls and a representative the from the record label was there as well. And the record label is telling us, you have to sign a contract about your lawyer. You just sign it. There is no, you don't get a look at it. You can't have any negotiations. You sign it. And, at the time we're 13, 14, 15 years old at that range. And my mom's a lawyer. So my mom's like, oh, hell no. She is not signing a contract about reading it. Like, WTF. So obviously I knew that just in general because I had been in the business since I was 5 already. So I knew that you don't sign a contract without your lawyer looking at it. And so it was my choice then to not sign the contract and leave. But it was literally, they forced your hand. And of course the girls were like, I want to sign, I have to sign it. And I do remember, I forget which girl it was, but she was like crying. She wanted to sign it. And her mom was really like, I don't know. I really don't know. And then the girl just signed it regardless. But I did not think it was safe. And at that time, it had already been so toxic, so incredibly toxic, the experience, and abusive, that it was actually a relief to get out.
Wow, I wasn't able to find any information on that about it being
You won't.
stressful and abusive, but
You
um
won't. Mainly because it's high powered profile people in the music industry, which is notorious, in my opinion, as being a toxic environment. I think out of all the entertainment industry, like spectrum, in music industry is one of the worst.
I have heard that oftentimes record producers and executives and all that are in the music industry are just incredibly heartless. They care more about your money and your image than they do as you as like a person.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was, to be perfectly honest, it was one of the worst experiences of my career in life.
Wow, I'm so sorry to hear that.
It's okay. It was a growing experience. I learned what I don't want to ever experience again. Sadly, at a very, very impressionable young age. And because of that, it did affect my mental health incredibly. Um, thank God for therapy now. That's all I can say.
Thank God.
But to this day, I get into a recording studio and I like have PTSD reactions to being in a studio.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you got out, and I'm glad that you were able to move on, because it seems like a lot of the other work you've done is incredibly important and helps a lot of people.
Thank you. I hope it does. And obviously I think being in the pop group kind of helped me see what needed a change in the industry and what I could do as an individual to help make those changes. So that is in part why Hoppa Mag was created.
Awesome. And I have looked at it, and I will leave a link in the description for you guys to check out Hopameg. It's a really cool publication that Alex does, and it's a really interesting read, even if you're not um part of the Hoppa community.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know if you want to, we could talk about this later or
Yeah.
I can talk about it now, whatever you want.
Go for it. It's all you.
Okay, so we're actually in the process of rebranding to Mixed Asian Media to be more inclusive and also to be more mindful of the word Hapa because it is an indigenous Hawaiian term. So we want, because my brand is so about community based, I want everyone to feel part of it and feel that they can belong, and not just if you identify as Hapa or Mixed Asian or Blasian or whatever you want to call it. So, in part of that rebranding, we've launched a Mixed Asian Media Festival, which will be September 15th to I think the 19th. And it's on filmfreeway.com/ Mixed Asian Media Fest. And right now, our submissions just opened. We're in the middle of early bird. And then I think submissions are open till I want to say June. So there's plenty of time. But I'm really, really excited about this. It's all online because COVID, uh, to be safe, but it's going to be really cool.
Awesome. Yes, I'll definitely have to check that out. And it's awesome that you're giving like allies like myself a way to get in and support those
Thank you.
communities and those persons. So
You know
awesome.
what? We're stronger together, right? We're stronger together.
Yeah, absolutely. We really are. We really
Yeah.
are. Despite what some people that just left the Oval Office might think.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I don't want to talk too much about Dream because I know it's like a distant memory for you, and
Oh,
obviously it's not a
it's
great,
fine. I honestly, it's like the first time I've ever really talked about it. So,
well, I mean, if there's anything else you want to collaborate or
any
elaborate
questions?
on,
I mean, if there's any specific questions you have, like I'm happy to discuss as much as I remember. It was a long time ago.
sure, sure. The only other question that I had was about Sean Combs and if you were able to meet him and what
We
he
did
might
meet
have
him.
been like.
We did meet him. He was very he's a powerful man, and he knows he's a powerful man. But it was a really weird to meet him because they sent us to New York City, and you know, we're underage girls, like, just like 14 years old in New York City, basically by ourselves, because they sent us with, I believe it was Ashley Poole's mom. And she was very much played the game with the music industry. Like she did not have our best interest in mind, if that makes sense. She had the pop group's best interest in mind, whatever that meant, like literally whatever that meant. So when we got there, we weren't fed. And that was a lot of times. They didn't feed us a lot of times. So it was like 48 hours before we got an actual meal. And I remember being so hungry and so tired. It was terrible. Um,
I do
yeah.
wonder. I do wonder if that was like a tactic
Oh,
that they
absolutely.
employed to, if they're hungry, if they're tired, they won't think about it. They'll sign whatever we want them to sign.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And tired, hungry, stressed out. And this was our first meeting with him. And of course they wanted us to be the perfect little girl group. It was just incredibly exploitative. So like that was just in general, most of the time our meals were it was you could only eat like a white chicken breast and some vegetables. And we had to write down everything we ate. We had a personal trainer. We had to run 6 miles every day on top of 4 hours of dance rehearsal. So, I mean, I didn't have an body image complex until I went into that pop group. It's taken me years to get to where I am, where I feel like I eat whatever I want. I'm comfortable in my own skin now, finally, but it's taken me a long time because of that. And the over sexualization of like our bodies, and they tried to really play up my Asianness. So they dyed my hair black and really wanted to, this is an incredibly offensive word, for lack of a better word, like Jap me up, Japanese me up. And I'm only saying that because I'm half Japanese, but it was very like, it was gross. Um, so yeah, there was a lot of that manipulation, very like they were grooming us essentially, like they
Yes.
would compliment us and then tear us down, compliment us and tear us down, and in a way to mind control. And then they wanted us to become emancipated. So like they were really pressuring all of us to live together without our parents. We couldn't even drive. You know what I mean? We're that young. We can't even drive. We're in
Yeah.
middle school. So it was, like I said, it was very gross.
It sounds like it, especially with what you said about the like really trying to play into your Asian background and use that as it almost sounds like they wanted to fetishize.
Oh, absolutely. They did
That's
that with I mean, they definitely did that with me. They definitely did it with Melissa, who, you know, gorgeous blonde, definitely curvier, you know, for her age, you know, so they definitely played that up a lot with her. Kind of made her like the Britney Spears of the group. So yeah, it was just stuff like that. And it's just, you know, you at that age, and especially, you know, that long ago, we didn't have the vocabulary to be like, no, we didn't know any better. And, you know, I don't, and you have so much pressure coming from these higher ups to our parents. It was really hard for, at least for my mom to protect me. I mean, she tried as much as she could. Like, she would like try to get me to eat when I would come home after being at the studio for like 12 hours. But it's, you know, can't force feed someone.
Yeah, it sounds like it was like an incredibly stressful and just absolutely terrible
Yeah.
experience for you and probably the other girls as well, I assume.
I don't
Um
know. I honestly have no idea. You know, fame, people will do pretty much anything for fame, right?
yeah.
I can remember we were, I forget which, I think it might have been Warner Brothers. We were in the bathroom waiting to like go and perform for some executives to see if we could get a record deal with them. And everyone was very nervous. But I'm going to say this, Holly's mom handed us a flask and told us to drink.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's just oof. That's a lot
Yeah.
to like unpack. Yeah, I'm so sorry I made you talk about all this stuff. I
Oh,
didn't
no.
realize it was so crazy.
I think it's good that it comes out finally. And I'm in a place now that I'm comfortable enough to talk about it, and it's important to talk about it because that way, if someone maybe else hears my story, then they if they find themselves in a similar situation, then they'll have the know-how and the words to say, "No, I don't need to be exploited that way." And so much has changed, especially because of the Me Too movement, that we can say these things now.
I'm really glad for that, you know, people like yourself with these harrowing experiences can come forth and say, "Hey, you know, you're not alone. If you're in this predicament, reach out, tell somebody, you know, and get the help you need."
Absolutely. There is you know, you may come up against people that are going to try to push you down, but there is a community out there that will support you. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. Awesome. Well, let's move on to something a little bit less distressing maybe.
Okay.
So you've been in the spotlight almost in your entire life. You started modeling very young. Do you think that
Yes.
role has played an impact on the work you're doing now?
I think it has in the fact that at the time when I started as a child, there wasn't anyone else that really looked like me. So I was the representation at the time. Um, and because of that, and then seeing how nothing has really changed very much in the past X amount of years, it has made me go, you know what? I want to see people look like me. I want to see that representation. There is no reason why we can't have a mixed family on screen. I remember seeing like a couple years ago, I forget which car commercial, but it was a mixed Asian family. And I like started crying. It just made me so happy because for so long I had been told, well, they love you, everyone loves you, but you don't fit the family. You don't look Asian enough, you don't look white enough. We can't. Where are you going to fit in? But now finally we're starting to see that representation. And I think it's so important, especially, you know, in smaller towns where you are the only mixed kid or the only Asian kid or only, you know, BIPOC kid, you know? So I think it's so important to see that. So I definitely think that having been in this industry so long has made me has empowered me to speak up and, you know, take control of what I can and create a publication then that kids, people look like me, feel like me, have something and go, oh look, there's a bunch of people out there that have the same stories as me, experiences me, look like me, and I can do what they're doing too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we need more of that across the board, not just with mixed Asian families, but mixed anybody families.
Anybody's families. I mean,
Yeah.
that is one of the beautiful things I think about when I think of United States. I mean, granted, we have been through a lot, but we are a beautiful melting pot. And in like 100, 200 years, everyone's going to be mixed. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
it's just so why
Oh
not
yeah.
embrace it now?
Exactly. Exactly. Awesome. Well, thank you for that. So it wasn't long after you started modeling that you got into doing commercials. Could you recount a set or director that you really loved working with?
Oh gosh. Um, well, I loved my Hidden Valley ranch dressing commercial. It was like one of my first ones. I think I might have been like 7, but I loved it because I loved carrot sticks and I loved ranch dressing.
Of
And
course.
so I think we were in, I think we were filming at like Disney Ranch or something. It was this gorgeous outdoor space. And all we had to do was eat carrot sticks and ranch, and that was fun. But I would say as an adult, um, oh gosh, one of my favorite sets was for the Ford Kuga, and that is a car that's only in Europe. So I was the face of Ford Kuga that launched in Europe, and they had dressed, I think it was to the back lot of Universal Studios where they shoot a lot of things, completely in white. It was just all white, and that was really cool to like introduce this car. Uh, Another fun set was when I was on ER. Just everyone was
Oh
just
yeah.
so nice and friendly and like just playful. Like I can remember like in between shots, they were taking stacks of just like paper files as set dressing and like tossing them back and forth to each other to see how much they could catch. Like
That
just
sounds
stuff like
fun.
that. And then another really cool experience was oh god, was it 2 years ago now? My episode on New Amsterdam. My friend was with a writer, and we're both mixed Asian, and that was really cool that we were both on set together. So
That's
that was
awesome.
really neat.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, you kind of covered one of the other questions I had was memorable moments on working on like a television set. Is there any others that you can recall that you really just loved and
As far as television sets, I'm trying to think.
you were on a few.
I know I was on a few. I'm just anything memorable.
We can move on too if you want. If
You
it
move on. Yeah, like
sure.
it's pretty much kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's really like the PAs and stuff like that that make it. Like if they're nice and they're happy, then like it's gonna be a good set.
Absolutely. So like we've covered modeling, commercials, television sets. So you did actually play the title role in Walter Robot Studios' independent film The Mermaid.
I
Could you tell us
did.
about this experience?
That was really fun because the role was completely silent. So it was all like it just to me for me it was like, oh cool, I get to do like a silent, movie, old school like that. So it was just all about my facial expressions. And once again, um the director, Chris is Hapa as well. So that was like one of the first times I had ever met someone in the industry that looked like me. So that was really cool. And I was so sad that it really didn't go anywhere, the film. I thought it was really cool. It was hard though. They had me in this mermaid tail that you can swim in. So like we had some water shots with me in this tail trying to swim in. I'm a terrible swimmer. Like
Me too.
terrible. And it was, California, like it doesn't get cold, but if the water's not heated, it's cold. So I can
Yeah.
just remember being so cold and like just trying to get the scene in and just get it done right. But like at a certain point, your body just stops like cooperating because you're freezing. But that tail was heavy as fuck. It
Mm.
was so heavy.
It
But it
probably
was,
got even heavier when it was wet too.
yeah, I mean, it was buoyant at least
Oh,
because it was specifically this guy makes mermaid tails. Like that's what he does for like cirque shows and people like swimming, all these things. So that's what it's made for. But I think I really sold myself like being like, yeah, I can swim.
you.
Sure. And then I was like, oh, I can't swim like
Oh
that.
wait, yeah.
Oh wait, I'm just kidding.
Well, that sounds awesome. And I have to be completely candid with you. I did have some trouble finding
Yeah.
it, so, and I haven't actually been able to watch it myself, but I have
No,
read the reviews.
yeah, my friend Joe has I think a copy because he was the guy opposite of me. Um I had been trying to get a copy from him for a while. Like years now. It's been years.
You're gonna have to like force them to make a copy for you.
I know, right? Oh, I'll just have to bug them
Yeah, just
again.
keep bugging him, and then eventually,
Eventually.
that's how I get stuff done. Just keep annoying people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome. So, you've been part of many theater productions, including a role on Broadway. What does theater mean to you, and what role does it play in your life today?
Oh gosh. Oof. That's like a loaded question, I feel like, for me.
It's a heavy one.
The It's a heavy one. Theater is why I got into this industry, is because I love being on stage and I love telling stories, and I just love the interaction between audience and actor that happens. There's this uh, energy, like you feed off the energy of the audience, and it's really just, there's nothing like it. There's TV, you can't have that with TV. You just can't, because you can fix and cut, and nothing. It's not the same thing as the interactions. That's one thing I love about theater. But there's a lot of internalized racism within the theater
Wow.
community. Many of the Broadway like top producing companies gave money to Trump. So,
Yeah.
there's that aspect of it where it's like, you have these people that are part of the LGBTQ and, just BIPOC and all that. And then at the same time, we're like feeding it into this white supremacist hierarchy. It's a lot. Like I said, it's a lot to unpack. And it's hard. I've seen a lot change. Definitely. Like grew up doing like King of Guys, because that's what you do when you're Asian. But I grew up doing King and I's where like most of the cast was white, and then there was me, like the token Asian, because that's, and at the time I didn't think anything of it. I thought, well, if the white people can get to play Asian, then I obviously can get to play their roles. And I learned very quickly that was not the case. And that was always been very disheartening to me, is that having to constantly fight and prove that I can do what they can do just as good, if not better. So that's it's kind of a love-hate relationship right now for me with theater. I'm trying to figure out if it's something I still love. I know I love it when I get on the stage and I'm performing, but I don't like necessarily like the process of auditioning, and the it's just, it wears you down after a while. It wears you down. You have to have a thick skin. And I do have a thick skin, but if you're not seeing the change happening quick enough, then it's kind of gets very disheartening, you know?
You know,
Um,
I could see that. But what I noticed that in a lot of like movie companies, they're really taking a proactive effort to, like with Moana, and they cast all Pacific Island people, and then with Black Panther, they try to have like as many.
yes.
So hopefully we can see that translation kind of go into theater and into
That's,
Broadway.
I'm really hoping, because I feel like the beautiful thing about theater is that it doesn't have to mimic real life. Because in what real life situation do you like start singing and dancing, right?
I
Like,
wish more often.
absolutely. But like this, so anytime they're like, oh, that's not, realistic. It's like, is breaking out in song realistic? Is like starting a tap dance for the reason realistic?
Exactly.
So I feel like if anywhere, theater can definitely be part of that movement. Like, it definitely has in parts. It's just still like, there's still like the ceiling where you like get to a certain point and you can't seem to get past it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I did see a lot of the I I I don't want to misquote anybody, so I just won't say any names, but I did see um somebody who's prominent in Broadway talking about one of the difficult parts that they have with Broadway is that sometimes seats can be very expensive. And then
Yes.
sometimes people from ethnic backgrounds can not have the money like these rich white billionaires to
Yes.
go see all these shows, and so they're really catering to that audience.
They are. And I don't know. I feel like we got to take a look at how London does theater. The tickets are much more affordable. Um, I don't know. I've only been to London once, and I honestly don't remember if it was that diverse the audience. I wasn't really paying attention to that, which is something strange. I usually do, but it's just more affordable. And I don't see any reason why we can't have days or like today, every Tuesday is like tickets are a third of the price, or all the tickets are going to be lottery, something like that. There is no reason why we can't do stuff like that, or bring in schools like, that mostly the kids are from underrepresented and are in lower incomes, that they should come see the theater. um it is such a highbrow art form, right? In so many ways, but that's because the tickets are so damn expensive.
Absolutely.
Like I
Absolutely.
can't afford to go see shows.
No,
Like
I have to see like local productions. I couldn't afford to go see like a actual Broadway or like a high.
no. And honestly, it sounds terrible. I don't necessarily think it's worth the money. You know what I mean? I it's just, especially commercial theater, it's all about making money and stuff, and that's why it's not affordable and all that. It's yeah, I'm really bad. I'm like, unless you're going to give me a free ticket, it's very rare that I'm going to splurge and spend the money on a show.
Yeah,
Unless maybe like one of my friends is in the show, then I'll be like,
of
okay,
course. Of course.
okay, I'll save my coins and I'm going to go see you and support.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll return pop bottles and
Exactly.
awesome, awesome. Yeah, and yeah, that's such a heavy topic. I imagine we could probably spend the entire
Oh,
interview just talking about that.
we
But
could. It's a lot to unpack, and it's just, you also have the unions that are involved, and I could go on and on about that,
oh
actors
yeah.
equity, and probably not, they probably would not like what I have to say.
Well, I imagine that they wouldn't, especially being a member of a community with such a strong backing and so many people, really rooting for you that, an independent, strong female would probably scare the shit out of them.
They're trying to change. They really are, but I really think the only way change will happen is if they kind of just start over from scratch and
Yeah.
rebuild up, and not the old ways aren't working for today.
Yeah.
They just aren't. And especially now we have Zoom, and there's the media is crossing over, like, we have these made for TV musicals and stuff. So things are crossing over so much that I just think that the old way of how things were done is doesn't translate well to today.
Sure, sure, sure. So I didn't put this on the questions list that I sent you over, but were you a theater kid in high school or were you
So I was homeschooled. And
okay.
I started doing theater though at 5. My first show was when I was 5 years old. So I was constantly working professionally all through high school.
Wow.
Um, yeah. So I just always did theater, but I was homeschooled from 7th grade until I graduated. I graduated 2 years early from high school.
Oh, cool. Congratulations.
Thanks. I'm very self motivated, so
Yeah.
I feel for parents that have kids right now that are being homeschooled, like have to, and if the kids aren't self motivated, it's so hard. So I really feel for anyone that has that. But I was very fortunate that I was like, okay, I'm going to get my stuff done, and I get it done and move on to the next thing.
Well, that's probably that mentality is probably one of the things that's drove you to do so much critical work with the communities that you've been working with. Is this like get up and go attitude that not a lot of other creators share. And so I think it's awesome.
Yeah. I'm always like, if you have a vision, if there's something you want to see get it done, you're always going to find a like-minded people around you to help that. I am so fortunate. I have the most amazing team that helps me with Hoppa Mag and Mamfest. Like they it's they do, like, I'm like, I have this idea, and then they take my idea and they run with it, and shit gets done. And I am so thankful, and I'm just always in awe of everyone that I work with. They're so wonderful.
That's awesome. That's really
Yeah.
awesome to hear.
I am so lucky, and I know I'm lucky.
I heard one person say that you are most like the 5 people you hang out with the most.
That
So,
makes
yeah,
that makes sense.
your closest 5 friends, you're gonna adopt traits of them. So when you get a like-minded group of people, like with what you're working with, and everyone's motivating and pushing and taking these dreams and aspirations and all working together, I mean, it can create really like a really beautiful and productive atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like that, where everyone I'm always checking in and being like, what's everyone's bandwidth? Like, if you don't have the bandwidth, talk to me. cool. We'll figure it out. We'll rework things because I really believe that everyone needs to do a lot of self-care and take care of yourself mentally and physically so that way you can produce good work.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that your team appreciates that.
I hope so. I appreciate them so much. Like, I hope that one day I can just be like, here's $1 million. Go have fun.
I, I see. I need friends like that. So,
Absolutely.
could you speak to your role in "Oh God, We're Gonna Die" as Connie and what it was like working with Jeff Marks?
Oh, Jeff Marks is such a sweetheart. Oh my gosh, he's so fun. He's kind of shy actually,
Really?
but I at least I thought he was kind of shy. But he was a sweetie, and that was the funniest show. One of the funniest shows I've ever been in. I wonder how it would translate now, like today. I'm
Yeah.
not sure, but it was really fun to work with. I was and the cast was amazing, and I'm still friends with many of them today. One of the guys actually, I did my first show with him when I was 5. So then so it was really cool to like reconnect with him
Wow.
during that process. But it was just a really fun. Everyone was just so happy to be there and just like so excited to be working on something new that was specifically written for them. That there was no drama. It was great. I have nothing but wonderful things to say from that.
That it really sounds very cool. And if I can find a link to somewhere where you can watch,
Oh, I think I have a link to the recording somewhere. I can try to find it for you.
that would be amazing. And I'll put it in the description box so that people can
Okay.
check it out and watch it
I'll
and
if
enjoy
I
it
don't
as
send
much.
it, yeah, if I don't find it, let me know and I'll like if I don't send it to you right away, just ping me and I'll look for it.
Okay. Okay. So, you're a powerful voice for Asian Americans on your platforms Hop-O-Meg and your podcast We're Not All Ninjas. Could you speak to to your message and how important that is to not only Asian Americans but to everyone?
Representation matters. I mean, that's really what it comes down to it. Representation, diversity, and inclusion. It might be oversaid by now, but it truly matters. If you can see yourself up there on the screen, then shit gets done. Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. And if you don't see yourself, then write it. You can create it. I definitely believe that that's one problem that we have in the entertainment industry is that there's so little being produced for specifically for the Asian American voice. So because there's not that much work being produced, it's like 20 million people fighting for one role. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I'm like, if you don't see it, then create it. So if you have an idea and maybe you're not the best writer, but you like Facebook, I honestly I loathe Facebook, but there is a lot of good groups there for the creatives that you can connect with people and be like, hey, I have this idea. You want to like start working with me? And most of the time people will be like, yes, yes, I do. Let's create something. So I would say like with those because of those two things, it's just that representation matters. And if you're not seeing it, create it. And even if you are seeing it, still create it. The more work that there is being produced out there, the more jobs and opportunities there are for everyone involved.
Absolutely. And could you and again, this is a question I didn't include on the questions list,
That's
so I'm
fine.
sorry. But did you could you give one like one thing that people could do to be an ally or ways to get involved besides jumping on Facebook? Is there
Oh my
something?
God, please stop the don't please I would say stop being a what do they call it? An hashtag activist. It's like, oh great, you're using that hashtag, but what are you doing? I actually don't care what you're posting on your social media. I would say like if there's so many resources out there. If you just go onto Google and Google, how can I get involved in XYZ? And there's going to be a ton of information that's going to pop your way. And that's a good way to like start seeing what different organizations or what work they're doing and how you can get involved. Or if you have some friends that you think are involved in the work, ask them. Most of the time people are pretty happy to answer questions and just come come at it from an open mind with an open heart and humble and just be humble about it. Like, especially if you don't know much about the situation, don't know much about the work, just as long as I would say, just be very open and honest about, I want to support, I want to be an ally. I don't necessarily know what to do but I am willing to learn and I'm willing to support and help if you're willing to help me. Um, I guess don't come from it from a especially for white people. Please don't come at us expecting us to teach you that your one Black friend or your one Asian friend is going to have the answers. They may not. And it's also not our job to teach you. But if you come from a, like I said, a place of humbleness and openness and willingness to learn, Google it. Don't post on, there are some activist groups on Facebook and you can find them. But just because you post a hashtag doesn't mean you're an activist.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. I love the face. You were
Yeah.
like, awesome.
Yeah. Like I have, especially during the election, I had friends that weren't posting about what they were doing, but they were going to door. They were, working, calling, phone banking. They were writing letters in Spanish to people, trying to get the word out of how you can vote safely. And they weren't necessarily posting it on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And some people were like kind of coming for them and being like, you're not posting, so you're obviously not doing anything. And I'm like, what world are you living in? Just because I don't post something doesn't mean it doesn't happen. We forget now that we can still connect with each other face to face by Zoom, by a phone call. It just social media is not real life.
Absolutely. And, in my opinion, this, like you said, hashtag activism is probably one of the laziest ways to make yourself look like an ally. But if you don't have the support system and you're not going out and, like you said, your friends were making it work for them and doing it for everyone else as well. I mean, if you're just, hashtag Black Lives Matter, hashtag HAPA ally, like you're not
Yeah.
helping anybody.
No, you're
besides
not.
making yourself feel good.
Yeah, like performative activism.
Exactly.
Yeah, oh my gosh, if you just go onto the Black Lives Matter website, there's a whole list of resources.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Your cat is adorable.
Thank you. His name is Mogget. He's from I named him after a series of books I like by Garth Nix.
Oh, cool.
And I found him wandering the streets of New York City when he was like 9 months.
Wow, you rescued him. You gave him a better life.
Him. Yeah, he literally like came up to me, flopped over, and I was like, I guess you're coming home with me.
He chose you.
He chose me.
That's awesome. Okay, so you are part of an all Asian American sketch comedy group, Model Majority. Could you tell us about that?
We have our show coming up on I don't know when this podcast is coming up, but Saturday the 20th, we have our Lunar New Year celebration show. They are the first premier all Asian sketch comedy group headed by Veronica Dang, Carol Lee, Kevin. Oh my gosh, sorry, Kevin, I'm blanking on your last name. That's terrible of me, but Veronica Dang started it. It's a lot of fun. It's really cool and empowering to be part of it, because like how many years did it take to finally get an Asian guy on SNL?
Yeah,
like how many years? And still he's not used that much, in my opinion.
It's true. There's a lot of Bill Hader and the other guys, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so I just think it's really like, once again, representation matters. You see yourself and you go, oh, I can do that.
Absolutely.
So it's a lot of fun. It's a hard work, because there are a lot of revisions of the sketches, last minute edits, and especially now everything is done by Zoom. So we record our sketches together on Zoom, and then Kevin edits it, and we perform in front of a blue screen. Like my wall is like an ombre wall in front of me, a blue ombre. So that's what I usually perform in front of. And then Kevin will like stitch it together and make it look really nice. But yeah, it's been hard with the pandemic, but they've been doing a great job of still reaching the audience. And I mean, we went from sold out shows at the Pit to like, okay, now we have to like try to get everyone online involved.
Yeah, which can be difficult, but at the same time, it can still be as rewarding,
It can be, but it was cool though. I have to say, like, the cool thing about the in-person shows, like, you obviously can see the audience and you can feed off of their energy or whatever, but how diverse our audiences always have been. It's not just, we're not just playing to an Asian audience. It's like white people, Black people, Latinx people, it was really cool. It is really cool.
Awesome. I'm glad. That's it. I wish I could make it. I'll definitely be like, what I mean is I wish I could have made it 20 year live shows, but I'm definitely going to have to check out your digital content as well. I mean, it sounds like
Please,
it's just
please.
a riot.
Yeah, please do. And check out our YouTube, Model Majority.
I did.
Oh, good. Yeah, we're getting sketches put up there. Uh, yeah, Instagram, same thing. Facebook. I think it's going to be Facebook Live.
Yeah, live with quotations. Yep.
Live.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have done we started off doing some live stuff before, and it's just like, I mean, literally, like, we're in the Zoom, we're going to do the Zoom live.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
That is hard.
Absolutely. Even this podcast, I'm sure I'm going to cut up the little ums and oohs and the long
Oh,
pauses and
totally.
stuff, and people will never know. So if I had to do this completely live, and that would be stressful, and I don't want people to lose interest. So
Yeah, absolutely.
awesome. I keep staring at your cat. He's
Oh, yeah.
he's looking at me, and I keep looking back at him.
Margaret, what are you doing? Okay.
Awesome. So, moving on to one of my favorite subjects in the whole world. You're a self-described foodie. Could you shout out any food joints that you really love?
Oh my God.
I mean, you live in the epicenter. You live in New York, so it's like there's so much.
There's so much good food. Okay, Chinatown. I basically pretty much anywhere in Chinatown you're gonna find some good food and cheap good food.
Yeah.
So just go to Chinatown and explore. I love also Barney Greengrass is one of my favorite like Jewish foods, delicatessens in the city. They're known as the Sturgeon King, but their Nova Scotia is just like melts in your mouth like butter, and their latkes are so good. Oh gosh, Malacone is wonderful. I believe it's Dominican food. It's so good. Their plantains, their chicken, their beefsteak. Oh, everything's good there. Let's see. That's close in my neighborhood.
Cool.
Where else? Oh gosh.
Do you have a pizza joint? New York pizza joint?
I kind of do. It's the pizza place by me. I actually really like it. It's called Fresco's. I'm in the Heights, so it's good. It's good. I like my dollar slices, and there's one that I really love off of West 4th stop. So that's in the West Village, and it's literally $1. It's not going to be, mind-blowing pizza, but like it's great with some hot sauce on there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely the foodie game is
hot
changed.
sauce.
Yeah, I love hot sauce too. Coco Wings is really good for Korean fried chicken. Tampopo ramen in my hood is pretty good ramen as well. Udon. Oh, I love Udon West. It's literally all they do is udon, maybe some karaage fried chicken, and it's like $7.
Ooh, for New York?
For New York, I know, right?
That's crazy.
Like, we have a Tim Ho Wan, which is like a Michelin rated chain, and they have these pork buns that I swear to God, they're crack. They have like a cookie crumble on top, and then you like dip it in some hot sauce, and it's the best.
Sounds amazing.
There's boba tea places up the wazoo that I love.
I think I could probably drink boba tea with every meal and never get sick of it.
Me too. I could too. I get a weekly COVID test just because, like, let's be safe. You ride the subway every now and then, but like part of the reason why I get a weekly COVID test is because right by it is a Kung Fu tea. Ooh. So I'm like, I'm gonna go treat myself and get some boba on my way home. So at least once a week I get some boba.
Do you have a favorite tea?
I really loved the boba guys, but I think they might have shut down. The two spots that I love are out of business now. I know they're a Bay Area base, so I'm hoping they're still in San Francisco. I don't know if they're still around. They were so good. I liked it because they were very fresh.
I love that.
Yeah, it was just really fresh and different flavors. But I guess for the time being, I like Kung Fu, and I do enjoy Vivi, which is like, it's good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm on like a mango hibiscus kick right now, and I don't know why I can't look back to anything else. I still like green tea and stuff, but there's something about mango hibiscus that just...
Oh, that sounds good. I like during the summer a lemon kumquat tea.
That sounds good. Refreshing.
I like that. Right now I'm on a ginger milk boba tea kick.
That makes sense with the like a thicker tea for the winter, and then more of a light summery tea in the summer. That makes sense.
Yeah, during the summer I'm just like, okay, give me my lemon kumquat tea or lychee tea.
Yep.
stuff like
Ice
that.
especially, yeah.
Yes. No, I'm like, no ice. Like, please don't add the ice.
Yeah, too cold.
Too cold.
Awesome. So, yes, thank you for that. I'm gonna have to make it down to New York's Chinatown. I've only ever been to Chicago's
Yes.
Chinatown, and it was
Oh my gosh. Talk about, okay, the best dumplings I ever had were in Chicago.
yeah,
I've been to Chicago so many times,
yeah. It's a
so many times. And every time I'm there, dumplings.
absolutely. I used to live in Michigan, so it was only like a 3-hour drive to Chicago, and it
That's
was
not
a
terrible.
yeah, it was the nearest airport. So whenever I would fly
Okay.
anywhere, I'd always go to Chinatown and all
Oh,
the little shops and all the little food places down there where like I had frog legs. I can't remember the name of it. I can picture the outside of the store,
mm.
but I can't remember the name of it. And I like I think I ordered 2 or 3 help like servings of it, and they were just like,
Oh,
"We don't have that many." So yeah,
oh,
they were like I was eating them out of all their frog legs. It was pretty funny.
oh, that sounds so good.
Oh, they
Yeah,
were
I wish I could
crispy
remember.
and
Oh,
oh, so
I'm
good.
actually going to be going to culinary school in the
Wow.
end of summer because I love food so much and I love to cook. So that'll be interesting. I'm kind of terrified that going to culinary school is going to make me hate cooking.
Yeah, like, cooks at restaurants go home and they don't wanna cook, or like carpenters work
Right?
all day and they don't wanna fix their broken door.
That's what I'm terrified. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well,
But yeah, I wish I could. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say that's a good transition to my next question, which is what is on the horizon for you?
Oh gosh. Okay, so BAM Fest, our Mixed Asian Media Fest. If anyone's listening and it can be a podcast, a short documentary, basically anything that you can think of, a VR experience even you could submit on Film Freeway. That will be next. Our March issue for Hop-O-Mac comes out. We have Ivan Hall from The Bachelor, which I'm
Oh,
sure people will be very excited about. I have not watched The Bachelor. We have him. We also have a few other celebrity hoppas as well. And then, yeah, we're just planning our Mixed Asian Media Fest. And then I will be finally be graduating college and getting my BA. Uh,
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm in my final semester. It's been a long process.
You did it.
Finally, I did it. I did it. I'm like, ooh, I have it in dance. What am I going to do with this degree? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And then hopefully, well, I supposedly might still be doing a chorus line in North Carolina in the summer, but I don't really see how that will logistically happen unless everyone is vaccinated by then.
Hopefully, we can cross our fingers.
Cross our fingers. And obviously the union would have to approve and blah 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 blah. We'll see. So that might be a possibility. Um, yeah, we'll see. But if not, I will be going to culinary school for about a year on weekends and just working away with Hoppa Mag and the transition to Mixed Asian Media and just auditioning for TV, film, and yeah,
Awesome. Well,
I'm
I'm here
pretty
for it.
busy.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. So, I think that's all the questions I have for
Oh,
today. Is
fabulous.
there anything you wanted to plug or talk about before we hop off?
Um, I just think, yeah, keep it Mixed Asian Media Fest. I'm so excited about this. If you have any questions, email me at mixedasianmediafest@gmail.com. Or if you want to write for Hoppamag, have a pitch you want to send, the hoppamag@gmail.com. Follow us on IG at the Hoppamag, uh, soon to be Mixed Asian Media. But yeah, we're pretty responsive. Maybe not so much right at this moment because we're in the middle of getting our March issue out, but someone will get back to you. I promise.
Sure. Awesome. Awesome. Well, you guys heard it. I'll put links to everything that me and Alex have talked about in the description box below just to make it easy for everybody. And if yeah, if you have any questions, reach out to me and I'll reach out to her if you forever
Yeah.
for some reason. But awesome, Alex. Well, thank you so much. And this has been one of my favorite interviews that I've done so
Oh,
far and awesome. So thank you so much.
oh, thank you. This has been fun. Yay.
Awesome. We'll talk soon, okay?
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I have to say that Alex is one of my favorite interviewees so far, and I would love to have her back on. If you have any questions for Alex or myself, please reach out on Twitter at DitchingP. That's DITCHINGP. Thank you all again for watching, and stay gnarly, my friends.